Let's get married. I'm getting married. Is you ready? Cause I'm ready. Let's get married.
Well, hello, fellow Americans. It is I, your news reporter, and I'm here to discuss inflation of healthcare prices. The cost of existence has been a crisis that is perpetuated throughout the history of the United States. Many young people are struggling to afford the basic necessities of life, such as food, housing, and education. One of these significant necessities is healthcare. Although our government could take action to alleviate the effects of inflation on healthcare prices, they often do not do so, leaving many Americans to suffer because of their atrophy. While many people believe that increasing healthcare prices is an inevitability and that it is not a big deal, others think the opposite and want an end to these impossible costs. We believe that the price of healthcare needs to be significantly lower. I now bring you my fellow reporter, Josh Augustine.
So, you may be wondering, how does the government control regulation? I mean, why doesn't the government just print more money to prevent inflation? And how are they controlling healthcare and all that stuff? It just doesn't make any sense. Well, it's a little complicated, but I'll try to explain it. The main government bureaucracy that is responsible for controlling the rate of inflation is the Federal Reserve. Policymakers in the Federal Reserve evaluate changes in inflation using different price indexes. For instance, the Federal Open Market Committee uses the PCE price index to cover a wide range of household spending. By the way, if you don't know what a price index is already, it's just a metric used to measure prices of a period of time. While the legislative and executive branches control fiscal policy, the Federal Reserve is the main organization responsible for lowering the rate of inflation. However, the executive branch is pretty important in setting healthcare prices through the Department of Health and Human Services, which sets national health policy and administers Medicare and Medicaid. Now, I'll pass it off to my partner, Vincent.
But what do fellow Americans think? Well, Republicans usually view the increasing healthcare prices as being a fault of overtaxation and too much government spending, with view of healthcare being more so a privilege, while Democrats view this issue with a more negative mindset, believing that the rising costs is an urgent crisis that needs to be addressed immediately, as they believe healthcare is a fundamental human right. According to reliable sources, 85% of Democrats say that the affordability of healthcare is a problem for a country, while only 60% of Republicans say it's a problem.
In the Constitution, Congress is given the power to coin money and prevent states from issuing money. The power to coin money is referred to as the ability to create currency and regulate its value. This enactment of states to not create money prevents inflation from increasing at levels higher than it already has. Additionally, the states have no power over the cost of healthcare, as this is left to the executive branch and the Federal Reserve.
One piece of legislation that is currently in place to alleviate the price of healthcare is the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act attempts to lower health insurance costs and regulate the price of health care. The Affordable Care Act has been reportedly mostly successful for people in need. However, there is noted to be high out-of-pocket costs and a lack of universal coverage across the country. Another piece of legislation to lower the rate of inflation is the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This law attempted to alleviate inflation by lowering healthcare costs and reducing the federal deficit. This act was not very successful, however, and it really only saw improvements for healthcare costs for senior citizens, while leaving the younger generation in the dust. I now cut to Josh Augustine.
I know exactly what you were thinking. What is the effect of linkage institutions on healthcare prices? Well, I shall explain. Political parties can influence the government in making decisions regarding healthcare prices and what courses of action they should take to change their costs. Interest groups can also use lobbying to affect these prices as well. In elections, people have the chance to influence prices by choosing officials that may alleviate the effects of rising prices. And also, the media can sway people's opinions of whether or not the price of healthcare is something that should be changed or not. The media can also emphasize how people struggle with affording healthcare costs and show why people want more affordable healthcare.
We, the people, believe that inflation of healthcare prices needs to come to a halt. To us, healthcare is a basic human right, not a privilege. We, the people, should not have to spend our hard-earned money on something that should be given to us as a necessity. In order to make healthcare as affordable as possible, we believe that more laws should be passed to slow the rate of inflation, and that more regulation should be given to insurance companies, and that the media should emphasize this issue of these prices more, because when more people know about it, the more they'll want to do something about it. This was your news. Thank you for listening and watching.